Now we're on Daf Gimel Amid Beis. Chasima Lishma. We want to know who is the Tana that, according to Rabbah, requires Lishma not only in the Ksiva Saget, but also in the Chasima Saget. And we're going to try to analyze the Machlok Shin Rabbi Ben, Rabbi Lezer, and Rabbi Lozer, and we're going to dissect it and conclude that it's Mimad Shach. Either the Ksiva has to be Lishma or the Chasima has to be Lishma. But no single Tana, until we get to Rabbi Yehuda, but right now, no single Tana would maintain that both the Ksiva has to be Lishma and the Chasima. Why? Because Rabbi Meir, Chasima boy, Ksiva lo boy. Rabbi Meir is of the opinion that Eidei Chasima Karasei, that the entire essence of the get and its hechsher is dependent upon Chasima. And therefore, we understand very well that according to Rabbi Meir, the shliach who's bringing the get, he's going to have to say, B'fanai nechtam. But yet, Rabbi Meir would not require that the shliach also add B'fanai nichtav. Nechtav, he doesn't need lishma. According to Rabbi Meir, if you find a get in the garbage, pardon the expression, in the rubbish, and you luck out, it happens to have your name and the name of your wife, and you want to use it for a get and save yourself the priti de sabri, you don't have to pay the sofer. So Rabbi Meir says, get two Eidim signed on the get, give over the get, and she's Megureshes. And not only that, we're going to see something else. That according to the opinion of Rabbi Meir, with regard to writing a get on Mechuber Lakarka, this not, we have a Mishnah later on Daf Chaf Aleph, and Kosvi Mechuber Lakarka, Kosvi Mechuber Lakarka, Tlosha V'Chasava V'Nasna Lo Kosher. According to Rabbi Meir, the get was written on Mechuber Lakarka, and therefore it's not kosher. But yet, if he cuts off the get, and again, the whole Nusach get was written on this Mechuber Lakarka, on a stump, a tree stump. They cut it off. Now it's detached. It's no longer mechubar, and you get two Eidim to sign on it. And guess what? The get is kosher. Even though the pasuk says "V'kosav in Nasan," and the Gemara on Daf Chaf Alf darshins that Mishayin mechusa l'ksiva umiyad lachre nesina v'lo zu shehu mechusa ksiva lachre ktsitza. So mechuber lekarka is mechusa tzitza, and therefore the ksiva is invalid. But nevertheless, if the chasima itself is valid, because it was done b'tolish, Rabbi Meir is machshir the get. So why is there a requirement that the aid, meaning the shliachs, testify that b'fanai nechtav? The Rabbi Lozer, and if you're going to tell me, okay, what about Rabbi Lozer who holds that we require ksiva lishma? Because according to Rabbi Lozer, Eidei Mesira Karsi, so you don't need Eidei Chasima. So the two witnesses who saw the giving of the get itself was just a nusach. But everything, the entire din of Lishma is inherent in the Ksiva, because you have to create a get, and therefore, according to Rabbi Lozer, if you find a get in the rubbish, and you happen to luck out that it has your name and your wife's, you can't use that get. It was not written for you or for your wife. So it's missing Lishma. So the Ksiva has to be Lishma. Is there a Ksiva boy? We certainly understand why the Shliach has to testify for a Nechtav, and the Ksiva was Lishma, why Chasima lo boy. But you don't require Chasima at all. There's no Chasima on the Shtar, on the get. None at all. No signatures. And yet the Torah says that Midoraisa the get is kosher, as long as the Ksiva was done Lishma. So therefore, there's no need to require the shliach to say b'fanei nechtam, because there's no requirement of chasima. Maybe you'll argue that Leolam Rabbi Lozer on a deraisa level, you're right. Rabbi Lozer does not require chasima in a shtar, in a get, on a deraisa level, but maybe kilo boy Rabbi Lozer chasima l'shma deraisa, Rabbi Rabbanan boy. Maybe Rabbi Lozer would agree on a D'Rabbanan level that the Rabbanan require that there be a chasima of the get lishma. And therefore, it could be that the Tanav Mishnah actually maintains the view of Rabbi Lazar, and the reason why the shliach has to testify not only on the ksima but also on the chasima lishma is because on a drabanan level, Rabbi Lazar agrees and admits that we need chasima lishma. So the Gemara now is going to quote a Mishnah on Daf Pei Vav to prove that that's not so. V'hashlosha Gittin psulin d'Rabbanan. According to the Tanakama's opinion, there are 3 Gittin that the Rabbanan disqualified. V'lo boy Rabbi Lazar chasim lishma. And even on a Rabbanan level, Rabbi Lazar there is the dissenting view. He rejects the view of the Tanakama. He holds that even l'chatchila, a woman is allowed to get married with those 3 Gittin, even l'chatchila. And one of those 3 Gittin, which is the subject of the machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Lazar, is a get without chasimas edim. There are no witnesses signed on the get. And according to Rabbi Lazar, a woman can get divorced l'chatchila with such a get without any chasima and get remarried. So therefore, again, we're stuck if we assume that our Mishnah is attributed to Rabbi Lazar. Why does the get have to be signed l'shma? Why does the shliach have testified for a nechtam? We don't even require chasima, even on the Rabbanan level. Desnan, we learned in the Mishnah, shlosha gittin psulim v'nisei savlad kosher. So that even though the Rabbanan passed the get, but if she got married based on this get that's kosher dorais and posel Rabbanan, the child from that marriage is not a mamzer. And the psul of these gittin, which is only Rabbanan, would not generate a status of mamzerim if on the basis of this get she married someone else and had a child. If this psul were doraisa, then for sure, even b'di'eved, the vlad would be a mamzer, full-fledged mamzer. Now, what are these 3 gittin? Number 1, kosav b'ksav yoda ve'enolav edim. There are no signatures on the get. The get is written with his, meaning the Baal's handwriting. He wrote out a get on his own. And that's called Ksav Yoda. But there are no Edim signed in the get. There are one impossible to get. Or number 2, Yeshel of Edim, V'em bo Zman. Although Edim are signed on the get, they left out the Zman. And the Rabbanan made a takanas Zman and get. This is a whole sugya later on in Daf Yud Zayin, 2 different shitas why the Rabbanan requires Zman and get. And number 3, if the get was written by the sofer, v'yesh bo Zman, v'ein bo leid echad, but if there was a chasim of only one witness, even though it was written with a Zman, in such a case, the get is posel min Rabbanan. Now, what does this mean? The sofer really can also be integrated into the edus together with the aid. So that together between the sofer and the single aid, you really have 2 witnesses. And yet, the Rabbanan passel the get. They want 2 signatures signed below the Torah for get. And the Gemara later on Daf Pei Vav, is going to quote a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel. And Rav holds that we're talking about a get that was written by the Baal himself. There was 1 aid signed on the get. And therefore the get itself is kosher. But Rav insists that without the Ksav Yodo Shel Baal, the get is possible if there's only 1 aid signed on it. Shmuel, on the other hand, is of the opinion that the sofer is the one who wrote the get, and there's 1 aid signed on the bottom of the get, and then the vlad is kosher. Harei elu shlosha gittin psulim niseis kosher. Rabbi Lazar Omer. Now we quote from the Mishnah the dissenting view of Rabbi Lazar. Afal pisha enol of edim, even though there are no witnesses signed on the get, and the get was not written by the Baal himself, as long as there were Edim Masira who witnessed the Masiras I get kosher. And now, based on this get, she can collect her ksuba, because the two witnesses who saw the Mesiras Haget and the Sinas Haget. And that's from all the Nechasim Mishubadim Labal Liksubasa. Now, since we see that Rabbi Loz is of the opinion she'ein eidim chosman al get, that the get doesn't have signatures on it, but ela mipnei tikun olam. So what are these four words here? Ela mipnei tikun olam. We're worried about the following situation. Supposing two witnesses saw the Mesiras HaShtar, let's say, but they die. If there's going to be someone to contest the signatures, contest the shtar, then he's, maybe he sold it, he stole it, there was never a sale. So what's going to happen? The Eidim who saw the Mesiras HaShtar are dead, they're no longer alive. So now a person receives a shtar, and the shtar is very vulnerable. It may or may not stand up in a court of law, because the Eidim that saw the shtar given over are no longer alive. So therefore, midnei tikun olam, in order to facilitate the ability of the Baal Shtar to be Mekayim the shtar, even if in event that the Eidim died, the Rabbanan made a takana, tikun olam, that the Eidim will sign on the shtar. So through the chasima of the Eidim on the shtar, you can be Mekayim the shtar, and you don't need the Eidim who saw the Mesiras HaShtar, because they're not alive. All you need is Eidim who recognize the Chasim's HaShtar. But even getting back to our sugya, it's impossible to attribute our Mishnah to Rabbi Lazar, because the Tana of our Mishnah requires B'fanei Nechtam Lishma, and Rabbi Lazar doesn't require any signature on the shtar at all. The Ella, now the Gemara says, wait a minute, let's go back to the original possibility, Rabbi Meir here. The Chilo boy, Rabbi Meir Ksiva Lishma Midoraisa, maybe Rabbi Lazar agrees that you need Ksiva Lishma D'Rabbanan, the Rabbanan boy. And that's why the Shliach has to say, B'fanei Nechtam. Nachman, we have a statement of Nachman, Omer Rabbi Meir, Afilu Mitzol Ashpa, even if he finds a get in the rubbish, and now in Dafdal V'chasmo, Unesanula, he gets two witnesses to sign it. So the Ksiva was not Lishma, it was written for another woman, for another man. Is kosher, the get is kosher. So we see explicitly that Rabbi Meir holds that there's no din of Ksiva Lishma, not even on the Rabbanan level. We're going to allow him to take this get from the rubbish and just get two Eidim signed on it. So what's b'fanei nechta? The chitema anan midaraisa kamasnin alei ihachi omer hoya Rabbi Meir dvar Torah miboy. So the language of omer hoya Rabbi Meir seems to indicate that even on a Drabbana level, there's no requirement of Siva Lishma. Everything depends on the Chasima, and therefore we cannot attribute our Mishnah to Rabbi Meir. And that's where the Gemara is going to introduce a third sheet in the Tanoim, and that's going to be Rabbi Yehuda, which is tomorrow's daf. So let me thank you so much and wish you a great Shabbos.